First news topic of the week. This one's quite interesting because Starfield now has mods available, and they work on Xbox consoles as well. And first order of business for many of these modders was basically to take a look at the Xbox Series S version of the game and to see whether a performance mode could be added in a similar vein to Series X. Because obviously, well, Bethesda only concentrated on the Xbox Series X for those additional display options. And, well, there are mods available, a whole range of them, in fact. I've got some capture here showing the various Series S mods that are available. There's a very sort of basic one. We're going to start with that one because I have tested a couple of them. We're going to start with this fairly basic one. All it does is basically turn off VSync, which in effect unlocks the frame rate. So yes, you do get full performance of the Series S CPU and GPU. The issue being you also get eye-rending screen tearing, which I was fairly sure would be cleaned up if you've got VRR. But even so, let's check it out. And it works. You do actually get frame rates above 30 frames per second. Some footage here of Aquila, which is quite interesting because this area of the game is heavily CPU bound. And right. I also think it's pretty much GPU bound as well, because we're kind of very, very close to the sort of 30 FPS limit anyway. We can go above, can go into the 40s. But this is an interesting example of one of those areas in Starfield where you're always going to have a hard limitation, regardless of which console you're on. Mostly that's because of the CPU. However, yes, internal areas can run at very, very high frame rates, not quite locked at 60, but there you go. It's there's definitely scope here, I think, for a performance mode. But they didn't stop there. Now, there's a whole range of Series S mods available. That some of them just completely annihilate the image quality just to get as many frames out as possible on that Series S, although all of these mods work on the Series X as well if you want to try them out. This one, though, I found quite interesting. We're keeping the unlock and we are adjusting the resolution internally to 720p. And I would say this is quite transformative in terms of performance. You're getting some quite good performance here, I'd say. It can go all the way up to like 120 frames per second in some scenarios, but
oh my goodness,
it's not bad. Yeah, I mean, in the 90s here, in over 100 actually, in that internal area, the Crete Research Lab right at the beginning of the game, just sort of scanning through some capture here. And what can I say? I'd say a Starfield Series S performance mode is possible if Bethesda wanted to do it. But in the meantime, you've got these mods which, somewhat clumsy implementation of the same effects, but they do work and they show that the headroom is there. Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of those PS4 Pro style performance modes, though, because like all the city footage is like closer to 30. It's like mid 40s at best.
It's impressive.
It dips below 40, right?
Yeah.
So it dips really hard, but then you can go all the way up to 120 and like really tight stuff. So it's like really unstable.
Yeah.
But I think if you had VRR, it would at least be tenable.
Yeah.
What I would like to see off this, based upon that variability of performance that you just said, even without VRR, I would love to see a 40 FPS mode coming in here for Series S, because 60 is off the table, even like you said, with the original resolutions and unlocking the frame rate. And that variability between a city, between 40 and 50 is okay-ish on a VR display as long as LFC's on. Right. But I still think like 40 FPS, it's probably very doable, minus those hitches that the game still has. And I think that is what this footage showed us. But bravo, I think it's great that we have mods at all on a console game.
Yeah.
So like the fact that we can even do this is incredible. So Bethesda deserves a lot of praise for that.
Mm-hmm.
Almost as good as Ark.
Yes, almost as good as Ark. Right.
Yeah, I mean, it is great to see those mods, and obviously they are available also on Skyrim and Fallout as well, Fallout 4. So yeah, it's nice to see that. There is one John-style caveat, which is that if you use mods at all, you can no longer unlock achievements, and but you can use your existing saves, but then they get copied into a separate mods only save area that you have which alas doesn't allow you to access achievements. But even so, the fact that it's there at all, I think, is quite remarkable. And good stuff. I think
it's neat. It's neat to see, but I kind of feel like it's just a cool thing because, like, realistically, if you're disabling achievements and all that, like, who's on a Series S that's that concerned about performance, right?
Well,
that wouldn't have a different platform to play on.
Yeah, you
so
never
I kind
know.
of feel like it's an academic exercise.
Yeah, I guess I see what you're saying. I think the point is, though, that there is similar scalability to the Series X version, just at lower resolutions, which kind of makes sense, doesn't it, when you think about it?
I mean, it's the kind of stuff we see on, like, the Steam Deck, for instance.
Yeah.
To hit those higher frame rates, you just drop that res.
It'd be interesting to see actually a 720p run on, or even lower, on Series X versus S to see the difference in CPU performance that they have.
Yes.
That would be a fun little bench to do, actually.
You could do that. There's no reason why you can't run the 720p mod on Xbox Series X. That would be quite amazing.
So the mod itself is determining the res. I'm wondering if you could, like, run it at, like, 360p or something.
Who knows? I mean, I didn't do the mods, but I'm assuming that the lower resolutions would be available. I'm not quite sure what the FSR2 upscale is going back up to, mind you.
Right.
It's 1440p. What I can say, though, is that, when you look at the 720p footage, it's kind of very rough looking, which is kind of surprising, bearing in mind that the 900p native going up to 1440p via FSR2 actually looks pretty good. So I don't know whether there's something odd going on with FSR2, or maybe it's just not working at all. But it's 720p does look kind of dog rough. What can I say?
Dog rough.
Dog rough.
But yeah, this was something I just wanted to test out, just to see the viability of a performance mode. And I think that the sort of metrics are broadly in line with what you'd expect from Series X running at a higher resolution, exactly as expected. So, it's there, you can test it. Maybe it will make Bethesda think twice about putting in some kind of official support for a performance mode, because I think it would be kind of worthwhile, just as it was on X. But there we are, just an interesting experiment, really. I don't really have too much more to add to that, really, but I do like the idea of the 720p face-off in Aquila.
Yes, do it. And with them dragging a PC on the side too.
Aquila.
You could also drag in the Frankenstein PC on the side. You'd have that then, and, like, I don't know, maybe the best CPU you got too. You'd get, like, these 4 and see the ultimate range. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Do it now.
Yeah.
Frankenstein PC, I love it.
Yeah, particularly the pronunciation.
I mean, you guys have seen Young Frankenstein, right?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
That is good.